Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Find a way. It was Monday morning, and I was minding my own business. John was home, and we had stayed up late on Sunday night, so he brought me coffee in bed, which was really nice. And I'm sitting there in bed drinking my coffee, and I flipped the television on to catch what the weather was going to be like. I keep expecting them to say torrential rains and flash floods will come, but that didn't happen. Instead, I saw this report about a woman who was 15 miles off the coast of Key West, who had jumped in the water in Havana Saturday morning. I saw a report about a woman who had swam Saturday night, Sunday night, and now it was Monday morning, and she only had 15 more miles to go. And this was the report from her caretakers. They said she's exhausted, she's dehydrated, she's sick from all of the salt water that she's ingested, and she's hallucinating. She's doing great. And my heart was caught by this 64-year-old woman named Diana Nyad that 35 years ago tried to swim from Havana to Key West and didn't make it. 35 years ago, the currents were so strong going in the wrong direction that no matter how hard she swam, she went backwards. And she was eventually pulled out of the water by her trainers, and then she spent 30 years with that on the back burner until she hit the magical age of 60. I say that because I turned 60 2 weeks ago. And she looked at her life at 60 and realized that she still had a dream. She had a dream that for whatever reason she wanted to jump in the water in Havana and swim to Key West. And so over the years of 60, 61, 62, 63, she tried it 3 more times. And during that time, each time, she failed. She either failed or she got closer, depending on how you look at failure. If every failure is simply another step to get you where you want to go, then every time she got closer before they pulled her out of the water. One time it was for something called box jellyfish stings. They're fatal. She stayed in the water until she had her 12th sting, and the doctors pulled her out so that she wouldn't die. But this woman had a dream, and I don't really understand it because I don't want to jump in the water in Havana. I know a lot of people who do want to jump in the water in Havana and swim to Key West. But a lot of people have dreams, whether it's a swimming dream, whether it's to break the 4-minute mile, whether it's to run faster, jump higher, go farther than anyone else has, or whether it's a personal dream. Whether it's to paint, whether it's to sing, whether it's to find peace, whether it's to be able to reconcile the seeming differences in our lives. People have dreams. And I'm all about getting to have our dream. It doesn't matter what the dream is, we get to have it. The only person who stands between us and our dream is us. And sometimes we create a story around it that says, I'm too old. My ship has sailed. The time has gone. Or we create a story that says, I don't know how I would do it, or I don't have enough money to do it, or I don't have the education to do it, or I don't have the opportunity to do it. And what I want you to know is that if you have a dream, the fulfillment of the dream must exist. There are no empty promises in life. There are no dangled carrots to be pulled away at the last second. If we live in a universe of oneness, everybody take a deep breath. Let it go. If we live in a universe of oneness, then every part of that oneness must be full Otherwise, there would be the oneness and the place where the oneness doesn't exist, which would be an empty space. And that would put us in a universe of two-ness. If we live in a universe of oneness, which by its very nature has to be infinite and absolute, it has to be omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, it has to be the physics unified field, it has to be all of the oneness, that is the oneness, then if you can think a thought, the manifestation of that thought must exist. Now granted, it may not be on your coffee table, in your house, but the manifestation of that thought must exist. That's why as we go further on our spiritual path, we learn how to think more wisely, because we don't want the manifestations of some of those thoughts to exist in our world. But if you have a dream, the dream must exist. And so when Diana Nyad was training for this last year, for this final attempt, and she must have known it was going to be the one where she got there, because it was the final one, it was the last one, it was the one that it was going to happen at. She spent a year trying to wrap her head around it. You know, anytime you do anything, the doing of it is just part of the event. The wrapping the head around it is so big. There's so much to that. And so what her mantra was in that final year was, find a way. When the pain gets too much, find a way through it. When it looks like it's not going to happen, find a way to do it. When it looks like you're not going to get what you need, find a way to get what you need. Find a way, find a way, find a way. It wasn't, I'm going to sit on my couch and wait for the way to find me. It was find a way. Because the manifestation of what we want, of our desire, is right here. And so sometimes people say, well, there's no way. Have you ever had this conversation in your head? No way. Way? That's it. We look at something and we go, there's no way that's going to happen. And there's a still small voice inside of us that says there is a way. But because maybe the way didn't look like we thought it was going to look, I'll give you that. We take that way and the door is closed. It's not that way, but we beat our heads against the door trying to make it look like the way we thought it was supposed to look. Instead, it's about turning around and looking for the open door, looking for the way. There is a way. Even when it looks like there's not a way, there is a way. And if we aren't seeing it, it's because we're not looking in the right place. Sometimes we're looking outside of ourselves, and the way through is inside of us. Sometimes we're looking at the way that had happened before, and the new way is a different way. So we've got to be willing to stop trying to make it happen in the old way and open up to wherever the new way is. Because if you look for it, you will find it. What you are looking for is looking for you. That which you are seeking is seeking you. It's looking for you as much as you're looking for it, because it is the manifestation of your desire, of your dream, and it's not for anyone else. It is just for you. I don't know if you saw it either on television or on the internet when she came to the beach at Key West. And there were all of these people in the water cheering her on. But she had to make it to the sand. It was very symbolic, you know, that when the people, the refugees from Cuba come, they have to make it to the sand. Wet foot, dry foot. Wet foot, you go back. Dry foot, welcome to the United States. So she had to make it to the sand on her own. And she had been swimming 55 hours. 55 hours. You're not allowed to hold on to the boat. You're not allowed to take a break. Swimming for 55 hours. And when she got to the sand and tried to stand up, it didn't work. Not only were her, legs had no strength left in them, but she hadn't used them for standing in a long time. So she kept falling over and getting up and falling over. And it was so symbolic of getting that last 20 feet to make it to the sand. And when she got up and got on the sand, she didn't say, wow, look at me, look at how great I am. She looked around at the people And she said, I have 3 messages. One is, we should never, ever give up. 2, you are never too old to chase your dreams. And 3, it may look like a solitary sport, but it takes a whole team. You're never alone in what you're doing. So she had these 3 messages that she wanted to give to the world. Never, ever give up. You're never too old, and you have a support team. And her mantra was, find a way. Find a way through it. They said the pain that she went through was amazing. What she had to have gone through to break through that. They dropped tubes into the water for her, tubes into the water for her to suck food through. They would blow a whistle every 45 minutes so she would pull her head up and get food and nutrition. At night, they dangled a lit cord underneath the boat so that she would know which direction to swim in. They always had boats and kayaks and swimmers in the water around her. The swimmers in the water were to look for the sharks. She said you could always tell how big the sharks were down below her. The wider the eyes, the bigger the shark. This is what was going through her head. Never ever give up. If you have a desire, if you have a thought, if you have a dream, it must exist. You have to find the way to get to it or to open up to allow it to come to you. If anybody ever tells you that there is no way, your response is to look back and say, way? Of course there's a way. Of course there's a way. There's an article, there's a reading that we do when we license our practitioners that say the practitioner is the one who, although they may be blindly feeling their way, they know that there is a way and a truth and a light. So even if you don't know where the way is, notice that if you are beating your head against the way that is not, it's not helping you. And the thing to do is to stop and look around and see what your other options are, because if one door is closed, it just means something else is open. And it's your job to have the wherewithal to look around to find the open door. Oh, I thought it was you. I thought you were going to make me happy. I thought we were going to stay together until we both died. I thought we were going to kill each other. No, no, no. I thought it was you. It's not you. Oh, I'm all alone. I'll never be with anybody else. No, there's somebody else. I always tell people that if they get fired, congratulations, something else has shown up in your life and it had to push that old job out. If you get broken up with, that just means there's some greater joy that's pushing in your life that makes it not able to carry that depression and control and manipulation that we used to call an old relationship. You've outgrown it. If you lose something, it only means something better is going to happen. Anytime we think something is going wrong, the mantra is something wonderful is about to happen. Great. This didn't look at all like I thought it was going to look. Something wonderful is about to happen, and then we look around and we see where the way is, where the open door is. And if we look, we will find it because it's there. Sometimes it's there whacking us on the side of the head, gently knocking. Sometimes it's beating the door down, trying to get our attention so that we will find it and go in the direction that we are meant to go. This month's Science of Mind magazine has an article in it about a man named Gabriel Ebert. Gabriel Ebert is Barry Ebert's son. Barry Ebert is one of the ministers at the Center for Spiritual Living in Mile High Church, they call it. Gabriel loved to put on costumes and to be in plays, and to sing and dance. And he managed to get himself all the way to the Colorado School of the Arts for an interview, an admissions interview for college. And he asked the dean there, he said, if I wasn't going to CSA, where do you think I should go? And the dean laughed and said, well, if Juilliard doesn't want you, we'll always take you. So his family got in the car and drove to New York. And they walked into Juilliard with no appointment. And he had an interview with Juilliard 2 weeks later. 1,200 people interviewed to go into Juilliard that year. They took 18. One of them was Gabe. Gabe went through Juilliard. He's an amazing person. He graduated from Juilliard, and then he found himself waiting table and going on interviews. And there was someone from the Mile High Church that went out to see him and said, you know, I'm in town, can I take you for a meal? Well, now he's a starving artist. So yes, absolutely, take me. I'll eat everything in the restaurant, come. And during that time at dinner, the man from Mile High asked Gabe, what are you doing? Well, I'm waiting table, I'm hanging out with all my friends from Juilliard, we're all in the same boat, nobody can get a job, you know, we've got all this talent, we've done all this, we can't break through, so we're waiting table. And the man said, what is your support system? And Gabe said, well, all my friends from Juilliard. And the man said, no, they are not your support system. They are people in the same boat that you're in that you want to get out of. They are not your support system. You have thousands of people at Mile High in Denver that love you and support you. You have all of the ministers in Mile High that love you and support you. You have a national movement that loves you and supports you. You need to start using your support system. The man flew back home to Denver to see what he could do about maybe getting Gabe some gigs while he was waiting. That very week, he started getting jobs. I don't know if you follow things like the Tony Awards, but last June, the award for the best performance by an actor in a featured role was given to Gabriel Ebert for his role in the Broadway play Matilda. He was looking at the wrong way. He was looking at the way that the door was closed. And someone came to him and said, look around. Look around you. Remember how special you are. Remember how wonderful you are. There is a way. There is a way. And in just a matter of days, he got roles. And the role after role after role landed him in that Broadway play of Matilda. If we keep beating our heads against the wall of what it is that isn't working, by thinking that we can't have what we want, we're never going to find the way to what it is that is already in existence, that is the manifestation of our desire. Science of Mind tells you you can have what you want. I love to say that, you can have what you want. If you're going to where you don't want, stop that, turn around and go for what you want. You can have what you want. You weren't tricked in life. This isn't a test. You're not looking at eternal damnation or celestial whoopee. You can have what you want. You can have it now. So Barbara, how does this work in your life? You know, I get so dependent on people around me. It just is easy sometimes when for 8 years, I know I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. I know that Tony's going to be up in the sound booth and she's going to work her magic. And on Sunday, pretty much, the sound has always run great. But it was a few months ago that Tony started letting some hints go that maybe she wasn't going to be here. And I started to panic because that has always been my way. Tony and that sound system has always been my way. If that's not there, what is my way? Oh no! Did you ever do that? And so then Tony said, no, I really am. I'm going to set this down. I have other things to do. And all is well with that. But then I started to kind of panic because this sound system is tricky. It's got little tricks and nuances, and really the only one who knows how to run it is Tony. I don't know how to run it. Other people may know how to turn it on and off, but they don't know how to run it. So Tony's got this sound system in the back, And I started asking people what they thought. And what the experts told me is it's a miracle she's been able to hold this sound system together for the last 8 years. In the world of electronics, it's an albatross. You need a new sound system. What's that going to cost? Oh, thousands of dollars for a new sound system. Let's start off with just a board. What is my way? What is my way? Sunday, you may have noticed, is very important. Sunday in this room is very important to the life of the center. What is my way? What is my way? What is my way? Well, if it's not, Barbara, just pull your checkbook out and write a check for whatever the sound system costs, then what is my way? And I started looking around in my mind's eye, what else can be my way? And it's fascinating how things fall into place. Because it was 2 years ago, right about now, that Charlotte and Jerry Medeiros called and said, you know, we're going back to Florida and we've got this summer home that we lived in for years while we visited up here in the summer, but now we moved out and bought a new condo and we don't really want it anymore. Can we give it to the center? My only response in any kind of circumstance like that is to say, thank you. Thank you. You've got a car, you've got a boat, you've got a house, you've got pretty much anything you want to give to the center. My response is thank you. So they gave it to us and we accepted it. And it just so happened, right about then, that our wonderful Reverend Christy was looking for a place to live. And so she went and she painted it and fixed it up and did all this great stuff and moved in and lived in it for a while, but now she's not living in there anymore. Huh. Maybe it's a way. And so I called Mary Love and I said, Mary, do you think you can sell that home down in Hendersonville? It's a mobile home. It's great. It's cute. And she said, sure. I said, good, because I already ordered the sound system. Now, this is a religious scientist's response. She said, great, you just created a vacuum. So it just took a couple of weeks to sell the mobile home, to pay for the sound system, so that we can have a sound system that it doesn't take someone who's got 8 years of experience to know the nuances and the tweaks. And does the plug go in all the way or just half the way in? Really? And as much as I'm grateful for these 8 years of having solid control back in the sound booth, I'm grateful that now we get to expand into having a circle of people that will all know how to run the sound and that we can have a better quality experience in this room. Tomorrow morning, Dee Lawrence, who's headed up this whole thing, is going to meet in this room. There's already scaffolding delivered at my home, and we're going to put in a new sound system this week. So it means one of two things. Either next week everything is going to be amazingly wonderful, or I'll be speaking... Mute me just for a second. Can you mute me? Am I muted? Yeah. Or I'll be speaking really loud next Sunday. And either way is perfect. Either way is wonderful. If you want something, whether you think it's available to you or not, whether you think you can get it or not, whether you have any clue as to how you can have it or not, I want you to know that by the very process of wanting it, you have created it. And now your work is to connect with it. So that if you have something that you need to break through, break through. If you have something that looks like there's no way, you've got to find a way. If you want what you want, then you've got to be willing to allow yourself to connect with it and to stop being the person who didn't have it and start being the person that has it. Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't have anything, that it's impossible or that it will never happen. That is completely wrong. All you have to do is think it. All you have to do is hold on to that thought. And the same way that we know today is the best day ever, you'll find it on television, you'll find it on Delta napkins, and everybody will be saying it, and you'll sit back and go, we did that. We did that. Because truly, to find a way, we do that. And so